Jerika Duncan, thank you very much for that. For more on this, we want to bring in New York Times correspondent and CBS News contributor Jody Kantor. She co-authored the article along with Megan Twohey that broke this story originally. And Jody, you've got another front page story today with Rachel Abrams. You now finally, after we spoke on Monday, have big name actresses that have gone on the record: Gwyneth Paltrow, Angelina Jolie. First of all, why did they agree to come forward now, and how did you get them to talk?
I spoke to them on Sunday, and what they said is that they were really responding to the story we broke on Thursday. They wanted to come forward to support other women, to stand up and say, I think this is true because I experienced something like this myself. And they said they wanted other women to feel protected and to feel safe. And Gwyneth Paltrow said this behavior towards women stops now. Angelina said, not in any field, not in any industry.
I guess that is the question. Does it stop now? At least we're sort of talking about it. It's out of the shadows. He has lost his job, essentially. He's lost his wife. He's lost his reputation. Is there a possibility he could lose his freedom? Does this look like something that could develop into criminal charges?
I think that's the question now. That is the question, and I'll give you another question, which is, how do we now look back on 30 years of cultural history? I mean, I'm like the rest of you. I watched the movies and I watched the Oscars. We grew up on them. So all of a sudden, as a journalist, I'm talking to Gwyneth Paltrow, and she's telling me her story of, you know, her account of Harvey Weinstein sexually harassing her. And based on that and many other conversations I've had, you know, I think we're now looking at our cultural past and saying, what were we really watching up there, and what was it concealing? When we look at some of our favorite movies, what kind of really uncomfortable or maybe even, I don't know, you know, illegal allegations are lurking below the surface?
His spokesperson has released a statement. They deny the sexual assault and harassment allegations. The question that I have is, this is an entire ecosystem. Unlike what we perhaps saw with Bill Cosby or with Roger Ailes and Bill O'Reilly, that was sort of a self-contained and one organization. This is an entire industry, and now you've got people coming out every single day. Even a male actor, Terry Crews, came out and said, you know, he's felt at points that he listed one specific incident that he felt that he was allegedly groped on the red carpet. Where does it end? Are there so I guess the question is, are there a lot of other Hollywood executives that are quaking in their boots this morning?
I talked to Jenny Connor, who is the executive producer of Girls, the night that Harvey Weinstein was fired by his own company, and she said, what this means now, she said, this is a tipping point. Any man in Hollywood who is using his power for something other than to make movies and TV shows has to watch out.
So why now, do you suppose? We have seen a series of these bigger-than-life, wealthy, influential men come tumbling down because of this. Cosby, Ailes, you know, we're looking at Weinstein now. What do you think? You've been sort of watching this unfold. Why is this the tipping point?
More than watching it unfold, the Times is really committed to this reporting. I mean, in our newsroom, we have concentrated on breaking these stories. My colleagues, Emily Steele and Mike Schmidt, broke the Bill O'Reilly story. My colleague Katie Benner broke the Silicon Valley story of venture capitalists pressuring women, entrepreneurs for sex. My colleague Megan Twohey did the Harvey Weinstein investigation with me. And I think we just feel this obligation as investigative journalists. You know, what is the truth about how women are treated in these industries? And given that these were all powerful figures who people were afraid to take on, what's the unique role that we can play as journalists of, you know, standing up and rooting out the truth?
And but it's not just that women are talking now where they weren't before, but people are listening. Companies are listening. I mean, maybe it's just about the money. Maybe it's just about the payouts. I don't know.
I think there has really been a response in the spirit of having a constructive conversation. One thing I'm really glad about with the public, ever since the publication of our story, is that we have not seen the women be trashed or undermined. We have not seen the reaction of, like, we don't believe you. It's a he said, she said. You are one person in a hotel room. And now part of what's going on is that as you hear the repeat of the Weinstein allegations, the more serious allegations, the New Yorker story yesterday, these stories have an uncanny similarity. They're like watching a movie that always plays out the same way. And so you say to yourself, all of these women from all over the world who don't know each other are essentially telling the same story. This is a remarkable moment of truth-telling, I think.
It really is. And you've got now even President Obama and Michelle Obama coming out with statements saying that they're disgusted by the behavior. Hillary Clinton came out with a statement, although some people have suggested that she should have done it earlier. But you're just seeing it across the board. It's not just the actresses that are coming out. First of all, it was the mainstream media that broke the story. There's been some criticism about that in the past. It was the mainstream media that actually broke the story and has continued to develop it. And you've got just everybody that has come out and said, look, this is wrong, and we realize that there's an issue here, and it has to be, light has to be, there has to be a light on it.
So here's something interesting, because you brought up Hillary Clinton, right? And there is this intersection between Weinstein, Hollywood, big donors to politics. Is that the conversation that needs to happen as well?
I think the question is what is tolerated on the left. Here's the thing. For anyone who claims not to have known about Weinstein's behavior, I would direct you towards the announcement of the Oscar nominations in 2013.
Yes.
The Oscars are the biggest thing in the film industry, right? This is a hugely public moment. So the comedian Seth MacFarlane gets up and he reads off the actress nominations, et cetera, et cetera. He reads the names and he says, makes a joke. He says, "Congratulations, you 5 ladies no longer have to pretend to be attracted to Harvey Weinstein."
And everybody laughed.
The most chilling thing on that tape is the laughter. And as we were able to document, the behavior appears to have continued past that. We have allegations that stretch into 2014, 2015. So the really tough question here that I think we just cannot avoid asking is who knew, who even had a casual sense, and who looked away, and who was willing to stand up and intervene.
Many people will suggest, look, it's a little hard to believe that an actress like Gwyneth Paltrow, Rosanna Arquette, Angelina Jolie, they grew up in Hollywood. Gwyneth Paltrow is the daughter of a very famous actress. Angelina Jolie is the daughter of an Academy Award winner. In other words, they were part of the ecosystem from the time that they were children. If we want to, and this is an assumption, but if we want to believe that Hollywood has always been like this, the casting couch has always existed, we've heard about it going throughout the history of Hollywood, is that hard for some people? Is it going to be hard for some people to believe that they had no clue that this was happening to other women?
Well, I think what it shows is that even somebody as powerful as Gwyneth Paltrow had a very typical sort of professional woman experience of saying, this happened to me, but I don't really know what to do about it. And, I've been told to stay quiet, and now I have to do my job, and I don't want it to threaten my career, et cetera, et cetera.
Even as she rose,
I have to tell you, even though she's a big star, she sounded a lot like the other women I've talked to.
That's fascinating. Great reporting as always, Jody. We really love you. You can tell we love talking to you because this is such an interesting story and a very critical and
a Monday warrior, mean strike. Today's Tom Sawyer, mean.